We have the world, Ace of Cups.
Hi, this is Athena Starseed and Dharmata Tara, and
Hello.
We are at the Mystic Journey Bookstore in Venice, California, and we are talking about some really important spiritual and integral issues, and you were talking about standards. And what are standards, and how do you decide what your standards
Well, let's
are?
clarify that we were talking about standards on friendships and relationships, and how people sometimes show up or they don't show up. And so basically I was saying to Athena that I have very high standards for myself, and I mapped those because they felt healthiest and aligned with my spiritual path. So I was saying to her, I don't want to lower my standards for what I have with my friends. But what I'm understanding, because not everybody thinks that their word matters to them, or not everyone's prompt, or not everybody says what they do, or means what they say, what they say, or say what they mean. So I'm not going to lower my standards, but I am going to lower my expectation of them, whether or not they hold it, because if I want to be accepting of where they might be at.
Right.
Because if I am not accepting, then I cause myself suffering. Like, oh, they didn't do this. And so I see myself go up and down according to, respond to how they are. And it doesn't mean that I stay friends with these people or I even trust them. But basically, it's that if they are, if the bird's the bird and they've proven that they're the bird, I'm not expecting them to be an eagle or a bear or a turtle. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going, okay, that's just some, so my standard is what it is, but my acceptance that they may not be have the same standards or have the same capability to maintain whatever standard they have.
Keep going, it's okay.
So then it's the acceptance, I'm accepting of them being human where they are at that time. Then I treat them accordingly.
Okay.
So if they say I'm going to be here and I'm not going to strike one, the second time strike that they don't show up, strike two. Third time I may not want to. It's like I'm not interested in having a friendship or making plans with someone who doesn't show up
for the plan.
Because you wouldn't want that. The golden rule. You wouldn't want you wouldn't want to show up at a restaurant and then no show, and you're calling, are you showing? You don't want that, so I don't want that. It's the same thing. I want to be on an even playing game of what you want to deserve, and what you feel you deserve as well.
So just, what are some of your standards? Like say
right speech. If they're going to say it, mean it. Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Or then don't say it. Just don't make a commitment.
Right. And the thing is, things come up. Work comes up. People die. I mean, all kinds of things. Then I want to know about it ASAP. And I want it to be the truth. I don't like, oh, something better came along. Oh, I just can't show up, and I'm going to go off and play with somebody else. Then you can say no to that, or tell me that a girlfriend came in and something better came along, and do you mind? But ask me, do you mind? Because I might say, I mind.
How do you feel about, if you make a plan first and then something else better comes in, do you hold your word and still go with the first plan?
Well, here's what I do. I get the option. I say, I have this, we're meeting for lunch. And then say, but someone just offered me free tickets to see my favorite rock star. I'm going to call them and say, gosh, we had these lunch plans and somebody offered me these free tickets to see my favorite rock star. Would you mind? Would you be okay with that? Because I want you to feel included in my decision.
Right.
Because then they feel respected. Yeah. And if they go, oh my God, that's the only time I ever had to see you, then I'm going to say, okay, then I'm going to choose not to. I actually had to turn down work, and for me, turning down work, does that ever happen? Because it was someone's birthday, and I actually called her, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll take you for lunch, or later lunch, or dinner. She'd already left, and so I called that person, that was spontaneously wanting my work. I'm like, I can't make it. So I considered the gift to her birthday gift, that $140 I would have made otherwise.
Right.
That was
that. See that. Because
I wasn't able
the integrity on that is so powerful.
And she showed up and she was all thrilled, and that's exactly. Yeah. But I also I'd reached her and said, hey, I just got this. Is there a possibility that I could do this for dinner? Yeah. Would you mind? Because I don't want to be hands well, this is just what someone called me and I'm just going to go, bye. I mean, it's like,
it doesn't feel good.
They didn't feel considerate of my, because I might have said, go, have fun.
Right.
But at least I was asked.
You have the choice.
I have the choice. So I don't feel, so I felt at least still honored.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's really what it's about, is when you tune in and you're in alignment and you honor yourself and you're honoring yourselves and you're in integrity with who you are, that you can be in integrity with the other person and give them the choice, which is inclusive. That's a very feminine principle, to be inclusive, because there are choices. I had an ex boyfriend of mine say, I'm going to be going to Europe for 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And then we were kind of just starting, and then extended for 5 weeks, didn't tell me, took me away on a romantic weekend, and 20 minutes before I got home said, oh, by the way, it's 5 weeks, I'm not going to be back. And knew that he withheld the information just so that he could have that weekend.
Yeah, withholding to me is lying.
It was lying. And so, yeah.
It might be slight, but it's still lying. It's not being
such
transparent.
a bummer.
But the thing is, not being transparent.
Because you know what?
Whether you blatantly lie or withhold it, it's not
here's
being
what it does.
transparent.
Here's what it does. And the people think, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is that you don't give the other person the choice to say, would you still go if that had changed? Like, there's no consideration for the person's feelings that you're lying.
And you also have to ask, why aren't you being transparent? What is,
why are you?
Because they might not go, they might be angry at you, they might,
Or how about I just want to have
but
this
give them that choice.
and
Respect them enough to give them a choice. Because it might be no, you might not get it all because you've been transparent.
And I think that's okay, because when you know what it is, then you can deal with the truth. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind whatever it is. Like, even in general, I'm celibate now, and I'm happy that I'm celibate. But before, when I wasn't celibate, when I was dating, I would typically, ask guys, do you drink alcohol? Do you eat meat? These are things that I don't want inside my body. This is my own preference. I'm not judging anybody. Eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want. But for me, I don't want that in my field. And they would lie and say they don't drink alcohol and they don't eat meat. And then I would find them drinking alcohol and eating meat. And I'd be like, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you tell me that? And they're like, well, I thought you'd get over it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's out of
now
integrity.
You're alcohol and you lie and you're not transparent. Like, deal breaker.
Yeah.
Massive.
And I think that comes from sometimes whoever's doing that, their lack of fear that they're not going to get what they want if they don't say what they need to say to get what they want. But when they do that, there's always, like you said, karma. There's always a cause and effect. There's always something that will backfire. Like, you can't lie to the universe. No matter who you're lying to yourself, and that comes out somewhere along the line. So it eventually came out, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the people that drink that say they don't drink. And then they say, well, one drink's not drinking. And I go, I think it is. I think drinking is drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Alcohol is alcohol meets meat.
Yeah. And anyway, these are all beautiful learning lessons. People have to experience being lied to have forgiveness, being betrayed, to have compassion. So these are growing experiences. But as we refine who we are and what, like you're talking about, the standards are, we hold ourselves accountable, and then it's a safeguard to protect our inner child, to be around people that hold us in that reverence.
It's a safeguard, but it's truly just being integrous and honoring oneself, not putting oneself in a because then you're playing in that same field. So if you want a pure field to play in, then you're not mixing it with those gray areas. And I'm not saying this is like black and white, but me it's like, but I'm kind of getting, like you were saying, that one friend's like, but I like her and she's kind of fun, but she does all these horrible things. Well, how much do you like her? And how fun is it when she's doing the world? So it's imbalanced. And if you want, so that's you agreeing to that imbalance.
And it also too, like, you're also in compliance when you're not speaking your truth. And so what I want to say is, like, we've all had friends who have either lied, cheated, or stolen, and we've also done it ourselves. But when we come out of that, we're talking about yoga, right?
Yeah.
We have the what are they called? The yamas and the niyamas that don't lie, cheat, or steal. These are like basic foundational principles to make union with yourself. When you know of a person that's in your field that's constantly lying or cheating people, and you're accepting that in your field, you're in compliance.
Right. Again, unless they're coming to us humbly and honestly to say, I see this about myself, I have a challenge with it, and assist me. Then you're in a systems to help them up level to the truth.
Right.
So then,
and everybody deserves that.
Everyone deserves
Everybody
that.
deserves
Everyone
that.
deserves that second chance.
Yeah.
If you see a genuine response of them wanting to improve, admitting it and wanting to, and committed to it. Because I'm also seeing sometimes that half-ass, like I'm not uncomfortable enough that I think it's kind of okay, so they're half committed, then I'm not interested in that. Show up 100%. 100% of the time.
Right, exactly.
And then you're going to see the universe bless you beyond your imagination.
Beyond your imagination. Beyond, and the blessing in this is, as we keep up leveling, birds of a feather do flock together, and we're meeting people that have more beauty in their aura and more integrity in their field, and they are not lying to themselves or cheating themselves. And when we're cleaning out our bodies and we're detoxifying our negative habit patterns and we're up leveling, that we see our reflection. We see people that have that, and even if you just have one, that can be a lifesaver.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? One really close friend that can share that type of a communion with you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always love looking at the monks in monasteries and the practice, and then the sangha. They have a sangha. A sangha is a community based on agreed principles. You see what I'm saying?
The agreed principles of getting to the pure truth within oneself.
Exactly.
Being on the path of truth.
And that is a worthy conversation when you're engaging in friendships, to see if they're engaged in that. What did you say? A commitment to a higher spiritual truth? Yeah, because those are the friendships that I'm interested in for my inner circle when I'm vulnerable.
That I'm interested in all my circles.
Yeah.
There's no circles I'm not interested in that in. You know, so if they're not interested, they don't need, you know, it's like, then in essence, they don't want to be hanging out with me, because that's all I'm reflecting and mirroring all day long.
So that you're talking about business,
relationship,
family,
housing situations, roommates,
love.
Even, to tell you the truth, even the restaurants.
Oh,
Even
restaurants.
the vegan restaurants I go to, I'm not going to go to McDonald's for like a vegan French fry. I'm going to a place where there's like, it's an aligned, you know, how they treat their food and the people in the atmosphere and all that. I mean, there's very few places I really want to walk into.
Right. And you know what?
They share the same vibrational frequency of treating food and preparing the food and all that. So then I'm imbibing that. Because if I was like, fuck, don't like this, no.
Right.
Then, you know, then that's going into the food, then I'm imbibing that.
And you know something, I want to say how powerful that is, because from a capitalist country, we, the purchasers, create the supply and demand.
Right.
And if we unplug from things that are unintegrous, the way that you treat animals, the way that you treat people, the way that you make clothing, then what happens is those companies go down, and then we put our dollars and our investment over here with Cafe Gratitude, or name another restaurant.
Sage, True Foods.
Air One
Yeah.
is really great. That's a grocery store.
But you know, they definitely say vote with your dollars. Vote with your dollars as far as clothing lines, food,
treatment of humans.
Treatments of humans.
Yeah.
All of that.
So that's beautiful. So standards. So figure out what your standards are. And our standards are really about being committed to our spiritual truth.
Well, and I thought you said that the standards and principles to me are about equivalent.
Okay.
You know, my standards are built on my principles. My principles, you know, create my standards. I see them almost I'd be curious Google-wise, like what the definition of those words being different. But, you know, my standards were based on the principles of my spiritual, you know, alignments of right speech, right action, right thought, and how to create peace on the planet.
That's it. I want to end on that. Right speech, right thought, right action.
And creating peace.
Actually, let's go backwards. Right thought creates right speech, which creates right action, which creates inner peace.
Right.
Inner peace is outer peace.
Yay.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Take this peace that we have and share it with yourselves and share it with yourselves. And share this clip if you enjoy it, and create your own principles. Write them down. What are your principles? What are your standards? Share them with your friends. Have a great discussion like this. Blessings and light. This is Dharmata Tara and Athena, and we'll talk again soon. Blessings.